Hello folks, shintigercurl here, that dude in the straw hat, presenting you with yet another wrestling review. I'm of course joined by my co-host and associate Joe. Say hi, Joe. He's hungry and he wants a sandwich. And he's gonna get that sandwich as soon as I'm done with this review. And it's Monday night. You know what that means? Time for some Raw. And where else is it? And where else is Raw taking place from? Well, right down the road from me in Dallas, Texas. Don't worry, Houston's going to get some attention as tomorrow SmackDown tapes in Houston. But that's for another day. Today, it's Raw. Now, before we begin, it was announced on Twitter this evening that The Miz, feeling that the WWE Universe doesn't appreciate him enough as a champion, has decided to bow out and boycott this Raw. He's not going to be on Raw tonight. So with that, we start with The Undertaker coming out to the Johnny Cash song he's been coming out to for a while. Now, a lot of people have been saying they don't really like this song for him, and they hope it's not his permanent song. I, for one, like it, as long as it's up to WrestleMania, because, I don't know, it kind of fits him. They've called him the last outlaw, and well, that sort of outlawish feeling is perfectly symbolized by Johnny Cash, the Man in Black. Plus, it's Johnny fucking Cash. What do you expect? He was gangster before gangster was even popular. Anyway, Undertaker comes out and cuts a very short but to the point promo. He says that if Triple H can do what his best friend couldn't do, and that's end the streak, he could kill him. Now, this is just, for some people out there, I'm not going to name names, who apparently have a problem understanding it. Doesn't mean that literally. Yes, the Undertaker has been dead a few times, but it's not literal, so I'm getting off the point. Well, anyway, he shows recaps, and I was wondering when he was going to do this. He was showing recaps and footage from his last two WrestleMania victories, which were against Shawn Michaels, those two great WrestleMania matches. And he's like, he was the best of all time. Do you think that you can do better than he did? Overall, it was a good promo. It wasn't very long, which I liked. And Undertaker finally brought out that footage of HBK, which I was expecting him to do. Didn't know when, but I knew he was going to do it. Backstage, Randy is fighting against Nexus, but Nexus jumped him and beat him within an inch of his life. Punk decides, let's take this son of a bitch to the ring. And so they go to a commercial with Punk and Nexus dragging Randy to the ring. We come back from commercial. Randy's being beaten up by Nexus, and then David Otunga decides, I want to fight him now. I want to wrestle him. So yes, so now our first match is between David Otunga and Randy Orton. As you can clearly tell, I'm not a big fan of Otunga. Sure, the guy's got a lot of charisma on the mic, but his in-ring skills are sorely lacking, and he really needs to develop them if he wants to go anywhere in the business. So, most of the match is just Otunga pulling off some half-assed moves. It just really didn't seem all that good for him in the match. And then Randy Orton pulls off RKO out of nowhere. 1, 2, 3. Otunga won't be going to WrestleMania. Welsh Tista, aka Mason Ryan, comes to the ring and tries to get some on Orton, but Orton gives him an RKO. And then Orton pulls out his O-face again, so you know what that means. Time to punt. And punt he does. So yes, Nexus is getting slowly and but surely decimated. I would have to question the booking on this, but really, a lot of people think it's CM Punk because CM Punk has a habit of killing groups that he happens to be in. First, he destroyed the New Breed from ECW. Then the Straight Edge Society blew up before it got anywhere, and now Nexus is falling apart. Core is looking pretty good at this point. Next match. Christian comes out. This is his first match since he made his return at Elimination Chamber. As you know, he's been held up with a shoulder injury. And out comes Alberto Del Rio. And he brings with him his NXT rookie, Brodus Clay. Now, I have to admit, I didn't watch this season of NXT. I'm following the advice of my friends Matty J and Lonnie from the WrestleCast, tune into them, and say that if it's not on TV, I don't watch it. So, it's a bit, I'm not saying that NXT is bad, but it's just a little bit too much of a hassle for me, especially with my computer. So he says, "Hold on, Capitan Charisma. You want to wrestle against me? Not yet. You will have to fight my man here, Senior Carr. Go get him, Senior Carr." So it's Christian versus Brutus Clay. Now, I will have to admit, this is my first time watching Clay wrestle, and I see why my friends on the CBR wrestling forums are so high up on this guy. He looks pretty good in the ring. He's a nice, big, bruising, thick guy, and he just looks like real swole. Like, I don't know, I just like him. I just like his look. He just looks mean and vicious and brutal. It was a real kind of back and forth match. Christian pulls off some pretty good moves. He wins with a tornado DDT. Then Alberto Del Rio comes out and beats the living crap out of him and gives him in the cross armbar. And a lot of people were wondering, where was Edge in this? I mean, Christian came to his aid twice, and Edge didn't come to help him this one time. So, I think they're trying something with this, so I'll just see how it goes. Alright, next up, we have the next member of the 2011 class for the WWE Hall of Fame is announced this year. Already we have HBK, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and Bullet Bob Armstrong. This week, we get a woman. And what a woman. Sunny. That's right, one half of the Body Donnas. If you don't know who the Body Donnas are, do some research. And also was also manager for several successful tag teams, as well as the returning Legion of Doom, who were known as LOD 2000. So yes, Sunny could be considered the very first official diva that the WWE ever had. Before there was Chyna, before there was Trish Stratus, and before Beth Phoenix, there was Sunny. So congratulations, Sunny. Shame her husband, her late ex-husband, Chris Candido, couldn't be there. So hats off to you. Next match, we get a women's for the title match. I mean, a Divas match for the Divas title. Eve Torres defending against, I think it's Nikki Bella. And to make sure twin magic doesn't occur, Eve brought Gail Kim out. And that's always a good thing. Now, I've often said that, now, I'm going to say something right quick. Before this match started, Josh Matthews made a comment about made a gaffe. I can't remember what it was, but Michael Cole called him out on it. That got me to like him a little bit. But I think the universe is trying to every time I start to like Michael Cole, the universe reminds me why I hate him. And this match was why. The start of the match, I was kind of liking him because of what he said to Josh Matthews, calling him out on his botch. Then, right in the middle of the match, which I was enjoying for once, a Divas match I was enjoying, he gets a microphone and just starts talking. He's like, "In this match, I have more important things to do. End it, end it." He just gets on top of the table and just starts railing, and I hate him for that. He buried a very good match, and he buried the Divas. Hence why I don't like Michael Cole. What do you think, Joe? Joe didn't like Michael Cole either. So yeah, a good match, finally a good Divas match, ruined by that cum stain known as Michael Cole. Anyway, next segment, Cole announces his referee for his match against Jerry the King Lawler at WrestleMania. As we know, he's being trained by Jack Swagger. So who's going to be his referee? Well, he said he's a former world champion. He's from Texas. And little did I realize, and also I looked it up. Yes, Michael Cole is from Texas. And on behalf of all Texans everywhere, I want to formally apologize to the WWE Universe for spawning Michael Cole. So everyone automatically assumes it's Austin. But Cole, with that little shit-eating grin, says, "No, it's not. It's JBL, That's right. John Bradshaw Layfield, the longest reigning WWE champion on SmackDown history and a self-proclaimed wrestling god, will be the special guest referee. He looks a lot slimmer down and his accent has faded somewhat. That's what happens when you don't stay in Texas any longer. And he pretty much says that he doesn't stand for bullies and that he hates bullies. It's kind of ironic considering there's a lot of irony with this choice, most of which since JBL didn't like Michael Cole to begin with. But it's very interesting to have JBL on the show with the Miz not being there, seeing as how JBL went out of his way to say that the Miz will never amount to anything, and now the Miz is the champion. So that's weird. So before he brought out JBL, Michael Cole has said that whoever signs this contract will be the special guest referee. I smell contract swerve, and just before JBL signs it, glass breaking. Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out to a rumblous pop. Not as big as The Rock's, but still big, a Texas big pop. He comes out, and Cole and JBL are just yelling at him. He's looking at him like, "What? What? I'm not supposed to be here? What? Hold on, let me get some beer. What?" And he hits the stunner on JBL with Michael Cole running like a scalded dog. Now, I have to say, Stone Cold is feeling his age. His back is having back problems, and his stunner was a little kind of seen. I mean, it's not as quick as it used to be, but still, get what you can pay for. Then he starts bearing out the beers, this is a vast departure from his last time on Raw, when he was toned down, he didn't drink beer, and they bleeped him out like hell. No, this was the old Stone Cold, the cussing, beer-drinking son of a bitch. And Michael Cole gets on the microphone, and he's like, "No, Austin, what are you doing? This is my moment. This is my moment." Cole was having a bitch fit so bad. It's like he came down on Christmas morning and didn't get the toy he wanted. He was whining. Oh my God! And Stone Cold is drinking beer, and he sees the contract and contract swerve. "If you think Stone Cold should sign this contract, give me a hell yeah! Hell yeah!" So he signs this John Hancock on the document, and so for WrestleMania, the King versus Michael Cole with Stone Cold as the referee, and I couldn't be happier. And if it wasn't happy enough, Stone Cold goes outside the ring. Michael Cole's telling him, "Why? I never did anything wrong. Why did you do this? I never did anything wrong to you." And Stone Cold's like, "Oh yeah, have a good match." Shakes his hand and then proceeds to pour beer on his head. And Michael Cole just looks like a kindergartner who just pissed his pants. Just. Joe found it funny too. JBL staggers back to his feet. Stone Cold hands him a beer, and he's like, "Beer? Oh well." And gets another stunner. Michael Cole starts to walk back, and as he does, Stone Cold pours beer on top of him as he's walking away, making him look even more like the sorry man bitch that we know and hate. So, kudos for all that you do, Michael Cole. This bud's for you. Let's see. Backstage, Michael Cole has a discussion, is whining and complaining to Jack Swagger, and Jack promises to break Austin's ankle. See, the problem with this is Jack Swagger, is you don't know how to do a good ankle lock. I don't know why they gave you that submission after Kurt Angle made it into such a deadly move. And if someone could make a claim to break Stone Cold's ankle, it would be Kurt Angle, and I'd believe it. But coming from you, Swagger, you're not threatening. Anyway, with Michael Cole having a good cry in the shower backstage, Jerry the King Lawler comes in to fill in for the rest of the show. He comes in at a good time. Daniel Bryan is having a match. So it's a Daniel Bryan match, and no Michael Cole to come in and hate on him. I'm happy. He's facing against Lobster Head, Sheamus. Notice how he's not dressed as King, or as referred to as by the announcer as King Sheamus. I mean, seriously, ever since he won the King of the Ring, he has been on a sloping losing streak, and he got buried last week by Triple H. So right now, he's about in the same value bracket as Ted DiBiase, and that is just a shame. This is a short match, very short. Sheamus gets knocked out of the ring, and he suffers a leg injury. Don't know if that was kayfabe or not, but he gets counted out a little bit too quickly for my taste, and Bryan wins. Sheamus then gets the mic and says, "Alright, fella, I admit I've been on a bit of a losing streak, but I promise you, next week, if I can beat you for that US title, Daniel Bryan, then if I can't beat you, then I'll quit." I think he meant to say quit, but he came out as quick. Daniel Bryan agrees, so next week, Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan, US title on the line. Let's see. Next up, we have CM Punk versus R-Truth. Nothing much to say about this, which is just a build-up for CM Punk's match at WrestleMania against Randy Orton. And surprisingly, he busts out the Anaconda Vice and makes R-Truth tap out. Then Mason Ryan, a.k.a. Welsh Tista, comes in and picks up the pieces. Nothing much to say about that. I'm just happy that Truth lost. Not a big Truth fan. Love Punk. Anyway, next up is a promo by HBK on why he thinks Triple H could beat Undertaker at WrestleMania in the streak. He does a good job at building this up, saying that Triple H can do whatever he wants in the ring and not feel bad about it. So that really builds up Triple H as as the cold-hearted bastard that we know and love. So I'm liking this build so far. Next up, surprisingly enough, Vickie Guerrero comes out, and she announces that due to her negotiating tactics, Dolph Ziggler is now on Raw. Now this is good and bad, and I'll tell you why. Good is we might see a rematch between Dolph Ziggler and Daniel Bryan, one of the best feuds of last year. It was a very good feud that did wonders for Bryan's career, legitimizing him as a great in-ring talent. The bad news is, because of his status right now, he's in prime condition to be buried by Triple H. So, be careful, Bryan. So his first match on Raw is him against the sexy one, John Morrison. This was a nice match, probably the best match of the night, considering the 2 men involved. It was a nice back and forth match with Vickie Guerrero on commentating duty. And I will say, I'll take offense to this, Cole. Those fat jokes don't really apply to Vickie. She's lost a lot of weight and she looks damn fine. I mean, I never thought I'd say this, but I would love to see Vickie Guerrero naked. Yeah. Full frontal. So anyway, Dolph Ziggler wins, and he and Vickie are celebrating when the Raw GM chimes in. So it's up to King to read it, since Cole is still backstage crying like the little girl he is. And he says that while the Raw GM says that while he did hire Dolph Ziggler, he did not hire Vickie Guerrero. But she will get a chance to have a job if next week she wins a match against Trish Stratus. That's right, Trish Stratus is back in the ring against Vickie Guerrero. So Vickie, I really pray for you going up in the ring with perhaps the greatest WWE diva of all time. But anyway, last part of the show, John Cena responds to The Rock's statements last week. Now, John, I hope to God, I prayed to God that somehow John would pull off a decent promo. Sadly, I was mistaken. John does the corniest, lamest rap I've ever heard from a white boy. I mean, in the rapping circles, in rapping circles, this would be a low match. I mean, this is like a lot of rappers don't like raps like this that say something without actually saying something. He didn't really say anything new. He just were infantile gay jokes, bad puns, and just it was just rehashing his first promo that he did a few weeks ago against The Rock, and it was garbage. I mean, I'm sorry, Cena. That's your knockout punch. That's the best you can do to bring against The Rock of all people. The Rock, the greatest mic talker in professional wrestling history. And what do you talk about? Pearl necklaces? This the best you can do, Cena? We were waiting all week for you to say something, reply back for the gangster Cena. This wasn't gangster Cena. This was Vanilla Ice Cena. This was corny, PG-rated Cena. I mean, my God, it sucked. Say what you want about The Rock appearing on satellite. At least he spoke with passion and some originality. And how dare you saying that he's talking on a teleprompter? So even if he used a teleprompter, so what? At least it's not like that scripted mess that you spat out every week. My fuck you, Cena. And Joe says fuck you too. And I will give a shout out to my friend Legato, who called this out. And so he actually called it out before anyone else called what was going to happen next. So Cena cuts that lame ass promo that nobody in Texas was buying. I mean, we have taste in Texas down here. And just as he finishes up, The Miz, who was boycotting Raw, attacks Cena. Then he picks up the mic and cuts perhaps one of the best promos I've ever heard from him. I mean, he literally lays it out on the line. Don't you ignore me, Rock. I'm The Miz, and I'm going to beat your ass at WrestleMania. No one ignores me. I will say this was perhaps I like this promo from Miz better than when that promo he did a few years ago when he called out JBL saying that he wouldn't amount to anything. This was the best promo I've seen out of Miz yet. And his rap was certainly leagues better. Even though it was only about 2 verses, it was certainly leagues better than that shit that John Cena tried to pass off, especially down here in Texas. That shit may fly in Beantown, Cena, but this is the Lone Star State. You come hard or you go home, or you get beat up. So after the promo, he gives the skull-crushing finale, and then he does the people's elbow on Cena. Awesome. And he actually gets cheered for this. So yeah, I liked it. So, final verdict. This is the kind of show that I really don't like. This is the kind of wrestling show I hate. It's the kind of show where when it's good, it's really, really good, but when it's bad, it's really, really bad. So, it's up in the air right now. There are parts of it I can highly recommend. JBL's return, Stone Cold coming out and doing his thing, and not being PG, The Miz jumping to Cena. I could recommend a lot out of the show, but there's a lot that I wouldn't want you to watch. The Michael Cole burying the Divas. What else? Hold on. Let's see. Michael Cole speaking at all. The Nexus getting buried. It's just a lot of stuff that no match between Brian and Sheamus. I wouldn't recommend that stuff. So it's just up and down with me. I can't give a good verdict because this is the kind of show I hate. It's really, when it's good, it's all awesome, but when it's bad, it's terrible. So I don't know. This is just I don't know. This is just how I feel. So take it with a grain of salt. There's a lot I can recommend, but there's a lot I can't recommend. So it's an up and down show. So anyway, yes, that was Raw. So so I will see you next time, this Thursday, when I review Impact, which I hope will be a lot better and make a lot of more sense than last week's Impact. So anyway, this is shintigercurl, that dude in the straw hat, and Joe, saying good night, wrestle on.